Arsenal 0, Everton 0. Another poor performance from Arsenal, and this was another game where Arsenal have dropped points against a team which Arsenal should have been dominating. I mean, if Manchester United could beat them 4-0 and we can barely beat them at home at the Emirates, then that speaks a lot about this team. And Arsenal have no excuses. We have no reason for them not to be able to get something out of this game. It would have been a different discussion if Arsenal were able to beat them 1-0 or 2-0 or something like that, but to not be able to get a goal against them despite having the amount of possession, 70-75% possession, and having way more shots in this game, it's absolutely ridiculous. And even then, it was very stale, it was very boring. A lot of people were fed up, and frustrations are boiling over Arsenal, especially this season, because there's a lot of expectations at this point in time and Arsenal just aren't able to deliver. And I can understand all the frustrations, especially from the fan base. When I went on YouTube, it just looked like it was prime AFTV, banter era, banter FC, and that's not something I really want to see. But unfortunately, with the results of the season, we're going back into that, and a lot of the blame and a lot of the question marks fall upon the manager, the players, the club, and just the entire structure of it, because it's just not been good enough from all of those sides. And there's no excuses, because this team was good enough to play against Everton. It was good that Miles Skelly came on and played this game, but putting Timber back on left back, putting Partey on the right, I mean, doing these makeshift options just aren't good enough. And we have to put the blame on a lot of the attackers this season, because they just haven't been able to do their job. A lot of the games defensively we're doing all right, we're sorting that out in terms of keeping the clean sheets and minimizing the amount of goals conceded, but in terms of the attack, other than Bukayo Saka, all of them have just been absolutely pathetic. And there's been talk about whether or not Arsenal need to overhaul the entire attack, whether it be Jesus, Martinelli, Trossard, Sterling. All of those guys need to just leave the club, and we need to invest in new players, because that was something Liverpool did, I think, when Klopp was there, where he saw that he had an aging midfield and then he just replaced all of them and brought in Szoboszlai and Gravenberch and all these sorts of guys, and McAllister as well. And I think that may be something that Arsenal needs to do very, very soon. And if Arsenal want to do something this season, then they need to get a striker in the January transfer window. But are Arsenal going to do that? Probably not. I don't expect them to do anything. And it's funny, because I've seen a lot of fans just go absolutely crazy about Mikel Arteta and the club. And to be fair, this is something that a lot of people have been warning and saying for a very, very long time, that look, I know that there's a big affinity towards Mikel Arteta, and I want Mikel Arteta to do well myself. I'm not saying I want the manager to leave and this and that, but you have to raise question marks. You have to look at him and say, what the hell is going on 5 years in, and there's barely creativity throughout this entire team. If Odegaard isn't playing well, then the rest of the team just look like they lack ideas. And Ethan Nwaneri, when he comes on, and for Odegaard to get subbed off as many times as he's had, I get that he's coming off of an injury, but now it's looking more like a performance thing. His performances just haven't been up to par, and this is something that I've said over the last couple of games against Monaco, against Fulham. Odegaard just hasn't been looking as good, and when Ethan's come on, he's not able to do as much either. And I'm not expecting anything from him. He's 17 years old, but if you believe that Ethan was the next guy after Odegaard to provide that sort of bench option, then I'm sorry to say it's just not been good enough. And the thing is, with Arteta, we know that at this stage of his career, he's very, very predictable, and you can see that through a lot of these players. I mean, we know that when Martinelli drops a stinker, and he'll play for 60 minutes, and then Trossard will come on, and then usually Trossard will be able to get a goal, but nowadays he just isn't able to do that. And the reason why he isn't able to do that is because we've shot his confidence, and Arsenal have themselves to blame. Mikel Arteta has himself to blame for shooting Trossard's confidence like that. And now, even though he has maybe scored the odd goal here and there, it's not at the same level as before. And like I said, it's only proved to the detriment of the team. And a lot of people are looking at the front line. Other than Bukayo Saka, I mean, Havertz wasn't very good. Odegaard wasn't very good. Martinelli, same old. I'm tired of talking about Martinelli. I've already just said what my view is on him, and I think that it's time that Arsenal need to upgrade and get a better left winger, because he hasn't improved since 2022, in my opinion. He's been the same. He hasn't developed any skills to beat a man. He always keeps his head down, passing, just so many things that Martinelli has done where it's gotten to a point where it's just been increasingly frustrating, and is something that Arsenal deserve at this point. And I think one of the main things a lot of the fans are really frustrated about is where we are in the table, and the fact that Chelsea and Liverpool, and if we continue down this round, then maybe even Manchester City could overtake us. As bad as Manchester City has been, they're nearly about to be on level 1 points on Arsenal. And imagine that, it's been a whole month that they weren't able to get a single win, and they're nearly on points with Arsenal. And what does that say about Arsenal if Manchester City, as bad as they've been, are nearly on level on points with Arsenal? It really, really is horrible times for Arsenal Football Club at this moment in time. And you know what? It's a draw, but the thing is that there's just been too many draws that's happened and too many drop points. And I think one of the main gripes I have with Arsenal is the fact that they just complain too much, whether it be about the referees, the cards, the injuries, the player selection. I just hear Arteta complain about so many different things, and I think a lot of people are fed up with that, and they just want to look at the club and just say, no, you figure it out and you find a way to make it work. Because at the end of the day, this is all his team. He bought all these players, and he bought Havertz, he bought Jesus, he bought Calafiori, who's injured all the time, he bought Timber. Timber hasn't had a good game in a couple of games in my opinion. He looked quite off. He's bought a lot of these guys, and since he's been given the resources and he's been given the time, he needs to find a way to make it work. And as well as the players on the pitch, I mean, yes, the manager can make ways and formations and tactics for you to do certain things on the pitch and how you're meant to attack, but it's like what Pep said, when you're in that final third, you got to figure out what you need to do yourself and figure out a way to score, because it's been very repetitive from Arsenal. Martinelli gets on the wing and just sticks to that side of the pitch and not come in and not try and do anything and just maybe try and get a cross in. And it's the same old, and it's repetitive, and teams have sussed them out and sussed the team out, and they've figured out what tactics Arsenal are going to do. And this is why you need that unpredictable nature about yourself and what you're going to do on the pitch. Are you going to drop a shoulder? Are you going to do a bit of skill? And you expect that from Brazilians because they have the ability in them. But Martinelli, like I said, he just hasn't been good enough. It's been last season was a poor season on that standards that he put on the season prior to that, and now Arsenal need to be very ruthless, and Arteta can't take too much time anymore, because he's taken 5 years, he's learned as much as he needed to learn, and now he needs to just figure out a way to go into January and get that striker and get other attacking players that can really just provide something different and something more for Arsenal Football Club. Because to be nowhere near the title as we are, and for us to see that Liverpool have dropped points and Arsenal not capitalize on it, it's a very typical Arsenal thing to do. And mentally, and from that side of things from Arsenal, we all know that it's been very, very weak, and it's like Arsenal have regressed back towards 2020 straight after when Emery had left the club, and it's not good. What can I say? I mean, I'm not upset, I'm not angry. I've seen this coming for quite a long time, especially since Arsenal haven't been able to win anything for the last couple of seasons. It's despite coming second and despite going to the quarterfinals of the Champions League and this and that, but it's just not been good enough. And people are right to question the manager, people are right to question these players, and for the players to come up and try and rile the fans and try and wave their hands and get them to like support them and shout for them and this and that. Look, we're way past that stage now. At the end of the day, it's up to the players themselves, without going up to the fans, to do some things on the pitch for fans to shout and scream their names and do this and that, because their performances have been abysmal. Literally, yeah, you've had maybe a good 2-3 couple of games maybe in the Champions League, but it's just not been good enough. In terms of the title, I don't think Arsenal are going to get it, but stranger things have happened, but I'm not hopeful. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Let's see what happens in the next game. And I think on the final note, I just want to say, don't look at other teams, don't look at what Liverpool are doing, don't look at what Chelsea are doing, focus on what you're doing. And if you're doing well, then you automatically go up where you need to go. But if you continuously look at other teams and relying on them, then you're just setting yourself up for downfall. But that's the end of this video. Hope to see you all soon. Bye bye.